Ladies and gentlemen, continuing on, we are going to be able to find intercepts using standard form. So they're going to give you an equation, and we know that we could graph an equation and get a line. But, how would you graph it? You would use an input-output table. You plug in numbers, you get out answers, and you graph the coordinates. But instead of doing that, let's practice finding the x and the y intercepts. Now, you first need to make sure that you have a standard form equation, okay? And we do have a standard form equation right here. ax plus by equals c, right? The thing is, on this first one, it's already in standard form, and they want us to find the x and the y intercepts. How do you find the x-intercept? To find the x-intercept, you set y equal to 0 and solve. So this is what we're going to do, and hopefully you're doing this on your paper. Let's write down x-intercept and y-intercept with a space in between the two. Now, for the x-intercept, what do you do? It says on the notes right above to set y equal to 0. And I want to put that in a little cloud because that's what you need to know. So let me demonstrate how to find the x-intercept. I am going to rewrite this exactly the way it is, but instead of y, I want to put y equal to 0. I want to put a 0 right there. So check it out. There's my equation. It says 4x minus 3y equals 12. 4x minus 3y equals 12. But I put a blank spot because instead of y, I'm going to put 0. Understand? Now, what is 3 times 0? 0 cancels out. So scratch it out. What do you have left? You have 4x equals 12. Which means that when you divide by 4 on both sides, you get x equals 3. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is your x-intercept answer. Okay? Let's take a look at the y-intercept. How do you find the y-intercept? Well, you need to set x equal to 0. Okay, you need to know that. You need to set x equal to 0. So you're going to write this same equation, but instead of x, you're going to put a 0 right there. So there's my equation, but I'm going to replace the x with the 0. And that's really easy to solve because 4 times 0 cancels out. It's 0. And now you really have the equation that reads negative 3y equals 12. How do you get rid of that negative 3? Divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. So y equals negative 4. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what you just did was find the x and the y-intercept. Now, sometimes on a test, they might give you the x-intercept on a multiple choice test as a coordinate. So what do you think the coordinate will be for the x-intercept of 3? What's the coordinate going to be? 3? No. No. 3 and 0. What? Guys, check this out. If you found out that x equals 3, what was y? Y is 0. The only reason why you found out that x was 3 is because y is 0. So your x value for the x-intercept is 3. Your y value in that case is 0. Now the same thing for the other one. What's your coordinate? What's your actual coordinate going to be for the other one? It's going to be 0, 0, negative 4. Perfect. Okay, now, what does that mean when you think about the graph? Okay? When you think about the graph, this equation makes a line. Let me do a quick graph here. And this x value is 3. So let me go to 3 on the graph. 1, 2, 3. And let me put a dot right there. Ladies and gentlemen, that red dot is my x-intercept. That is the coordinate 3, 0. That does cross the x-axis at the value of 3. How about for y? Where's it going to cross the y-axis? Negative 4. So you're going to go negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. It's going to cross right there at negative 4. Now, how many points do you need to graph a line? 2 of them. And that's it. This is your line right here. You have graphed using x and y intercepts. Okay? So let's take a look at number 2 down here. It asks us to find the x and y intercepts of that equation. Let me ask you guys, is this in standard form? No. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. So let's first write it in standard form. It'll be a little easier. Subtract 2x, cancels, subtract 2x, and you're going to have a new equation that says, and let me write it over here, it's going to be negative 2x plus 3y equals 10. And not only that, according to our book, they like to have the a value being positive 1. So you could change all the signs and say that your equation is going to be positive 2x minus 3y equals negative 10. Okay? Now, that's your standard form equation, but that's not what they're asking for. What they're asking for is the x-intercept and the y-intercept. So let's find the x-intercept. Let me do one at a time. How do you find the x-intercept? Set y equal to 0 and solve. Okay, so let's rewrite this red equation right here, the standard form equation, but instead of y, let's put 0. So it's going to be 2x minus 3 times 0 equals negative 10. Equals negative 10. I ran out of space, I'm sorry. But anyways, 3 times 0 is nothing. It cancels out. So what you really have is 2x equals negative 10. 2x equals negative 10. Now, to solve that, all you got to do is divide by 2 on both sides. So x equals negative 5. That is your x-intercept value. Now let's find our y-intercept value. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this equation, but for my y-intercept, I'm going to set x equal to 0. Let me do that work over here on the side. Y int, okay, the y-intercept value. I'm going to set x equal to 0. So I'm going to set x equal to 0. So I'm really going to have, put a line right here. I'm really going to have 2 times 0, 2 times 0, minus 3y equals negative 10. Minus 3y equals negative 10. Ran out of space. That's ugly. Okay, so the 2 times 0 cancels. You have a negative 3y equals negative 10. And of course, we're going to divide by 3 and divide by 3. Actually, a negative 3 on both. So your y is going to equal, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So that is 10/3. However, you might want to make that 10/3 look like a 3 1/3. So 3 1/3 would be your y-intercept value, okay? So your y-intercept is 3 1/3. Now, if I asked you for the coordinates of your x-intercept value, the coordinates of your x-intercept, so x, actually, let me erase that. The coordinates would be negative 5, comma what? 0, that's right. And for the y-intercept value, your coordinate would be what? 0, comma 3 1/3. 3 1/3. Okay? Now, if you were to graph it, you'd have to go to an xy plane. You go to negative 5, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the x-intercept. You put a dot right there. And you go to 0 and 3 1/3. 1, 2, 3, and then all the way to 4. But, I mean, a third of the way up to 4. So it'd be right there. Connect the dots, you graphed it. Sorry, that was ugly. But I hope this makes sense, how to find the x and the y-intercepts. ¿Entienden?